Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're jumping right into a really fascinating philosophical text. We're focusing firmly on the teachings and writings of Shui Feng, the Guide of Life Chen Yuan, or as it's known in the original source, Liza Sumi Chen Yuan Life Chen Yuan Daoyou Shui Feng the Chaohui He Chu Zot. Specifically, we're unpacking a piece titled Great Enlightenment Leads to Buddhahood. Now, just a quick reminder, we aren't here to endorse any specific spiritual viewpoint today. We're simply acting as your neutral guide to analyze the source material and see how this specific framework defines the true nature of spiritual seeking. It's a text that asks some seriously tough questions about human nature, religion, and what it actually takes to achieve ultimate understanding. So let's get into it.
Section 1. The Paradox of Seeking. The text kicks off by highlighting a massive paradox when it comes to spiritual growth. On one hand, you've got an enormous number of people out there actively seeking Buddhahood. They want that ultimate enlightenment. But then, on the flip side, we see the reality. Very, very few actually attain it. So why the huge gap? Shui Feng argues that this incredibly low success rate isn't for a lack of trying. Nope. It happens because people have fundamentally flawed, completely different understandings of what a Buddha actually is. I mean, think about it. If you don't even know what your destination looks like, how on earth can you expect to arrive there?
By looking at those who worship and pray, Shui Feng poses a couple of incredibly direct, challenging questions to really interrogate the intentions behind these common practices. When you see someone kneeling or praying, what is actually going through their head? Are they genuinely seeking a deeper truth about the universe? Or are they just asking for good fortune, wealth, maybe a comfortable life? The text suggests there's a massive disconnect between the physical act of worshiping and the intent behind true spiritual seeking.
Which brings us to Section 2, Building Without a Blueprint.
To make sense of why so many earnest seekers fail, the text uses this highly practical, everyday metaphor, and it brilliantly illustrates the sheer absurdity of trying to achieve a spiritual state without first understanding its defining characteristics. Just picture a construction crew showing up to an empty dirt lot. They've got piles of bricks and wood, but absolutely no architectural plans. No blueprint, zero prior experience, not even a basic mental picture of what the finished house should look like. What kind of house are they going to build? It'd be a total disaster, right? Well, Shui Feng uses this exact logic to explain spiritual cultivation. If you don't know the precise qualities that define a Buddha, your spiritual practice is just as aimless as that blind construction crew.
Moving on to Section 3, The Trap of Formalism.
Now this is where it gets really interesting because the text actively deconstructs the physical rituals that people so often associate with enlightenment. We constantly confuse the outer performance of spirituality with actual inner transformation. The source material rapidly calls out these empty formalisms, things like chanting scriptures with your mouth but completely disconnecting your heart, reading ancient texts without actually digging for their true deep meaning, or simply sitting in a specific cross-legged posture and assuming that the physical shape of your body somehow equals spiritual elevation. It also critiques retreating into total seclusion, to lock yourself away from the world, or burning incense and kowtowing all day long. The teachings of Lai Chen Yan presented here suggest that physical actions alone are totally insufficient for true cultivation. They're literally just empty motions if your mind and understanding aren't fully engaged.
So, using this rhetorical question as a major pivot point, the author forces us to confront those rituals head-on. Can someone who just goes through the physical motions attain true enlightenment? Based on this text philosophy, the author makes the answer crystal clear. Absolutely not. You simply cannot fake it till you make it with physical rituals.
Section 4. Experiencing Worldly Joys and Sufferings. Okay, so if isolating yourself on a mountaintop or just going through the physical motions in a temple isn't the answer, where is the real work supposed to happen? Instead of escaping reality, Shui Feng outlines a clear three-step progression. Step 1, cultivate amid the sufferings and joys of the human world. Now, this is a massive shift. The text is telling us that true cultivation has to happen actively within the messy, chaotic reality of human emotions. You don't run away from society, you actually use the friction of daily life, the pain, the happiness, the everyday interactions as your training ground. Then, step 2 requires focused intellectual effort. You must start by working on your understanding, not your physical posture. And finally, step 3 is the culmination, thoroughly grasping universal principles. It's entirely about cognitive and spiritual realization, not physical isolation.
This brings us to Section 5, Ultimate Enlightenment of the Universe.
Building to the absolute climax of this philosophy, the text ultimately defines attaining Buddhahood not as a physical achievement, and definitely not as a reward for burning enough incense. Instead, it's defined as great enlightenment.
And what exactly does that mean? It is a profound, overarching understanding of the mechanics of existence. It requires thoroughly understanding the principles of the universe, the complex nature of time and space, the reality of human life, and the broader, capitalized concept of life itself. It is a total intellectual and spiritual awakening to how reality actually functions. In this view, ignorance is the only real barrier, and a deep, comprehensive understanding is the one true path.
The text closes out with this brief, expansive wish, may all attain Buddhahood. It's a beautiful sentiment for sure, but after analyzing the text, we realize it's also a massive challenge to the reader. It leaves us with a highly provocative final thought. How might this perspective force us to rethink our own daily habits? If true enlightenment genuinely requires a profound understanding of the universe, rather than just checking boxes and going through the motions, how does that change the way we learn, or the way we interact with others, or even how we view our own personal struggles? It challenges us to seek genuine understanding right here in the real world. Definitely something to chew on as you go about the rest of your day.